In this Gadgeteer video, there's two things that I want to show. One, that you don't have to have Gadgeteer modules to use different things. So you can use hardware just about any level you want. You can get at pin levels and everything else within Gadgeteer. So in this video, we're going to use a ultrasonic ranger, which isn't a Gadgeteer module, but we're going to be able to use it to get distancing. The other thing I wanted to show was touch screen devices in Gadgeteer. So this device here is using a glide interface, and I'll show that a little bit later. So let's start playing with this so we can kind of see what it does. On the device, like I said, there's the ultrasonic ranger, there's a camera, a Fez spider. This is an extender board that allows me to connect the non-Gadgeteer device to Gadgeteer, since the sockets aren't the same, and of course the red module's power. And so we tip this up, and so we'll start up the camera, and so we should see a picture here up here, and now we'll turn on the ranger. So now we'll start getting some readings down here, and notice that, like I said, we're doing this with a touch screen. With Gadgeteer, we can flip it onto inches, or we can add centimeters. And back to centimeters. And so with micro devices or Internet of Thing devices, these touch interfaces are becoming more and more powerful as the CPUs and such become more and more powerful. And so we're going to start seeing see these more often in stores and stuff. I thought it was kind of interesting the other day. I was at a large box store, and they had LCDs for prices on all their stuff. I thought that was quite interesting. So let's go take a look at the code. So the code itself is really simple. Basically what we have is we have a timer, 2-second timer loop, and as it goes around it calls a routine that gets the distance and takes a picture. So we'll just go through this a little bit. Like I said, the code's pretty short. Just some these items here are actually for the glide interface text blocks, and then this here is for the ultrasonic ranger that we're using. So we're using digital I/O. So we're at the pin level here. We have an expansion board that I've added, which allowed me to connect the ultrasonic ranger into the Gadgeteer. So we've restricted the camera resolution down. Normally it's 320, which would have filled up my screen, which then meant we couldn't have had our check boxes and radio buttons for that demonstration. But glide itself works out. It's really actually quite easy to use. You build a XML string, and I'll show that here in a bit, and then you load that in with glide, so the glide loader. You activate the touch, initialize window, which means basically we just go up and set up all the components, and then we set the main window to the window. So we'll just have a look at this. So on the XML, the different components have names. We just get them, and then we can assign events to them. Tap events usually. The radio buttons. So this is the where it outputs the range. This is where it outputs the picture. And then there's the checkbox to turn on the ranger and the camera. So it's actually really easy to do. Like for example, the tap event for the radio buttons. So what ends up happening is as we press one of the radio buttons in the group, it returns a value, and so we're able to flip on the metric or inches, just true or false. Works out really well. Same with flipping on the ranger stuff. We just check to see if the checkbox is checked, and then this is how you actually update sort of the region. So what we want to do here was clear off the distance reading underneath the underneath the image. So if you've ever worked with Windows, you know, for any length of time, the glide's going to be really easy to do. So we'll just come down here a bit and have a look at. So this is our timer loop. So we come in and we just say call a routine that I wrote called sonic distance. And then it just goes through, and then we check see if the camera is ready and it's on. If not, if it is, well, take a picture. So let's take a look here. So basically the idea of the Sonic Ranger is that we're going to send out a ping, and again this is all we're dealing with pin level stuff. So we send out a ping, and then we measure the time it takes for the echo to come back. So this is the ping going out, so it starts our timer. And then we just go into a loop, and we count the ticks until we get the response back. And then we can figure out by the speed of sound through air at 20 degrees Celsius what the distance is, remembering to divide that by 2 because the sound had to go out and back. And then that gives us our distance. So it's really easy to use non-Gadgeteer hardware with Gadgeteer, because you're able to play at whatever level you want. If you wanted to the breadboard components together and use them with Gadgeteer, you can. And the beautiful part about Gadgeteer is that if, say, you're building a module, so you're going through the breadboarding, you're prototyping your device and stuff, then once you've got the device, the hardware built, then you can build drivers for it, and then that way it's easy for people to then buy your modules and use them within their projects. I'll show here at the end a little bit about some of the modules that I've got. I've got quite a few Gadgeteer. You can do pretty much anything anymore with Gadgeteer with number of modules. I mean, there is an ultrasonic module coming from GHI, so I wouldn't. It would have been far easier to use it than this. So let's go take a look at. We've seen how we use a glide interface. Let's take a look at how we build a glide interface. Glide is easy to use. It's a web-based screen designer by GHI Electronics. It's open source, so you come into this website here and you're able to take various components, create them, move them around, resize them, and basically you can just lay out your screen, change your screen colors, you can delete components, add radio buttons, and you know the important thing to do is the naming is very important, because that's how you're going to reference these components when you load this into your project. And when you finally have your screen laid out the way you want, then you can come into here and you can have it show you the XML, and this is what you copy into your into that screen loader. So in my case I have it as a resource string, so you put it into there and then you have Glide load your window for you, and that's how easy it is. Glide is open source. The source code is available on Codeplex. It's actively being modified. So we had history change here just recently, and so it's getting better all the time. As I mentioned, as the CPUs become more powerful, there's a number of different touchscreen interfaces available already for Gadgeteer, and so you know, as the CPUs become more powerful, the interfaces become better suited for users and such. I mean, this is where we're going to go with devices. Touchscreens are going to be pretty much standard requirement for anything that has a human interface, and so Gadgeteer makes this really easy to do. So now let me show you some of the modules that I have. As you can see, I have tons of Gadgeteer modules that allow me to quickly and easily build all sorts of different types of devices. I'm a curious sort of fellow, and I have lots of questions, and Gadgeteer allows me to build uh, lots of different solutions, and so it sort of starts to feed itself. Success just makes you want to try even more stuff, and that you can do easily with Gadgeteer. I hope you've enjoyed this video.